AI will not replace humans, but humans who know how to leverage AI will replace a lot of the humans who are not able to or have not spent time to focus on learning about that.
How should short-term rental property managers be utilising AI? How can tech-savvy STR operators future-proof their businesses? And how will OpenAI's operator platform change the property management software space? Florian Montag from Apaleo is the special guest on today's House Planet podcast, and he's an AI authority in the STR industry. Florian, thank you for joining us on the House Planet podcast. How should short-term rental property managers be utilising AI right now?
Hi, James. Thanks so much for having me. We are in times where technology is rapidly changing, and AI has been evolving in the last few months and years significantly. So number one advice for short-term rental operators is thinking about AI, trying it out, testing it. It's not yet about getting the right results and efficiencies and ROI in implementing AI solutions. But at the moment, it's all about learning, testing, looking at what parts of my business can I improve with AI. Focusing on the first parts, always the easy ones, automations, and simplifying processes, operational efficiency, but also looking at, okay, how can AI bring even more impact and adding value for the guest experience, for our guests and our staff. But I think the big note at the moment is not just because you don't necessarily see the clear ROI case, don't need to do anything about it, or you say we're not ready yet to fully implement agents in my operations, or maybe have a little bit of AI in a certain tool. Number one recommendation is try it out, play with it, get familiar with it, try to build a subject matter expert internally, because not acting with it, not learning about, not training with it, you will really lose out in the short to mid, maybe not yet in the short term, but in the midterm to long term. So there's already amazing use cases to actually implement AI in the operations. Typical topics would focus on voice agents, supporting, for example, call centers. We see some amazing results with some of our operators reducing 60% of their human calls via simple agents, voice agents. So we can see real business impact already, but something everybody should start doing it is get familiar with it, try it out, test it, learn it, and you'll see the real return on investment coming then in the next 6, 12, 18 months.
Okay, real talk now for all you hosts out there. You know that moment when your guest messages you again with, hey, what's the Wi-Fi code? Or you're staring at 5 different calendars, wondering if you've accidentally double booked the cottage. Yes, we've all been there. That's why here at House Planet, we recommend Hostfully. It's basically your rentals control center. It handles bookings across all the big platforms, syncs your calendars to ensure there are no double bookings, automates guest messages, and even creates these really slick digital guidebooks that stop all the repeat questions. Honestly, it just makes your life easier and keeps your guests happier, helping you achieve those all-important 5-star reviews. And here is a little bonus. If you're a House Planet listener, you can get $500 off onboarding for Hostfully's property management software and 30% off digital guidebooks for life. Just hit the link in the show notes and use the codes PLANET500 for the PMS and HousePlanetGB for the guidebooks. And if you'd like a proper walkthrough, there's also a link to book a demo with Frank Bosey from Hostfully. He will show you how it all works. Less stress, more bookings, sorted with Hostfully. So where should people go if somebody's starting out and they've not done anything with AI? Maybe they haven't even used ChatGPT. Which are the platforms you would suggest that property managers should be taking a look at?
That's an amazing and important question. In Germany, we're actually even going that far that there's legislation going to direction that if your company is leveraging AI you need to actually also train your staff on AI to a certain extent. So where to try it out? I think the first case is you need that wow effect. You need to go, if it's working with ChatGPT or other large language models, and just playing around and see what you can do here. I think that is an important thing. Second place, learn from other hoteliers or short-term rental operators, or from tech partners, or from consultants who are already using it. With Apaleo, for example, we've built a community with over 1,500 partners, users, operators, from kind of decision makers and owners to front of house to a revenue distribution. And they can exchange ideas and topics around it. And I think this is very, very important, because there's not too much literature which stays up to date for long enough. But it's more about, hey, what are you guys doing? And how did you approach it? What did you think about this? How did you go about that? So it's really trying to have that space to communicate and learn from others. So depending on the associations you might be part of, the events you're attending, that's definitely it. Today is a time to connect with people online, but I think as well meeting in person, and tuning into podcasts like this to learn from best practices and just experiences from others.
What are the best use cases in short-term rentals that you've seen from property managers that are using AI at the moment?
One point I mentioned already, I think a very important and classic one is all about voice AI, chatbots, but not just, answering when is your check-in and check-out time, but actually having voice agents which can take on reservations that they can directly play into the property management system, that they can amend an invoice via chat, so that it's automatically updated and sent out. All of these, tedious tasks where typically you're like, yes, definitely you can automate it to a certain extent, but you need to then still go into the system to actually make that action. And it's all about making these topics operational. Something which is not too much focused on with directly in integration with Apaleo, but one of our customers, Numa, who are in the short stay segment, are offering apart hotels throughout Europe, and they have a lot of their units with kitchenettes, and they had always an issue about all of the rooms were cleaned, including the kitchenette. And then they actually started a process with taking a picture of the kitchen and an AI agent on analyzing the picture of that kitchen. And that could then confirm if the housekeeper, the external housekeeper, actually needs to clean that kitchen or not. So it was fully tracked. It was learned, identified all of the details and the key points. Of course, it took some time to put it in place. But that reduced, I think they made around 500,000 euros savings a year at their scale, and just with a small innovation like that. So this is where before you would have a huge complex software which would need to be developed and maintained. And here suddenly it's more about, yes, giving certain criteria in, using an LLM, for example, which you can then build an agent on, which analyzes what you've the rules and errors as well, like error messages it can have, and then say, based on this, please take decisions. And then you train the solution to a certain extent that you can say, okay, now you run autonomously. And so these are often things which you don't think about in the first step, but there's a lot of different areas which support it. And a third example, maybe more direction guest, is one of our operators built on with ChatGPT as an LLM, locally hosted due to GDPR rules. They offered for their staff a co-pilot that has access to all reservations and all information. So when you start your day, you think about, okay, where are my check-ins coming? Whom do I have to think about? You have a co-pilot which has full information on everything. So you can just ask, like, okay, do you know at what time is that person arriving? Or is there anybody is there anything special in the additional services booked that I need to take care of? Or do you know, any like lifetime value on somebody? So becoming even more of like an operational CRM. And this is a very small operator who just built that with a partner. So not anymore needing necessarily a huge solution which needs to be able to do everything, but really making it also more accessible for an operator from a certain scale on to be able to make it more operational, easier to use, to have the data on your fingertips and not anymore somewhere in your system.
How much is AI going to be able to do over the next few years? How do you see this developing? Is there anything in short-term rentals that AI is not going to be able to do?
I think there's definitely points which need to be done by a human, and I think what are these tasks exactly? It's to be seen. Definitely, a lot of the operations itself is something which will not have AI robots in a very very short term. At least being able to take away a lot of these tasks. I think as well the clear positioning, clear identity of your operations, of what you're trying to achieve, needs to be still driven by a human, and then can be supported by agents as well. That whole strategy and maintaining your setup as well. But do certain roles will be redefined? Yes, for sure, right? As well as like a few years ago, it was all about roles having to manually enter data from one system to another, and nowadays, hopefully, you don't have that challenge anymore because you work with open systems which can already integrate, and therefore that staff can focus more on strategy, on making sure that the tech stack works and that the tech you use is a lever to achieve your growth and goals. So I think it will be rapidly evolving, and I think AI will not replace humans, but humans who know how to leverage AI will replace a lot of the humans who are not able to or have not spent time to focus on learning about that, at least in the more kind of finance, marketing, sales, revenue parts. In the operational parts, of course, it's still classic being an operator, being a host, and being just a great host is the most important.
We're still going to need cleaners for the time being. Then we haven't got the AI robots to clean our places just yet. How can the really tech savvy STR operators, perhaps they're utilizing AI right now and they're signed up for a bunch of different tools, how can they make sure that they stay ahead of the curve when it comes to AI?
That's a very good question, and I think an amazing. Times have changed, as I mentioned earlier, right? It goes faster and faster, and it's all about looking at future-proofing your technology stack. We do not believe that there's one size fits it all who is on top of everything and will be the leader in all kind of innovation over the next few years. I think AI has shown it again. The race of which LLM is the most powerful, switches every couple of days. Now just with Google announcing all of their latest releases around Gemini, it's just like a wow effect after the other. And this comes on a weekly basis. So if you want to be a very tech enabled hospitality operator who hedges this risk of investing in tech, which might be not the cutting edge anymore in a couple of months or years, you need to make sure that the solutions you use find and work with, you find partners where you expect that they are staying on top of their game. So I think it's still always like, okay, who are the people behind these companies? Do they understand my business? Do I believe that they are the people who are also driving this forward? As well as looking at your core systems of your tech stack, and are they enabling you to easily switch out solutions on top? Can I, in 6 months or maybe in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, switch out a certain solution in an easy way without too many costs, with being able to access all of the data, to be able to access all of the connectivity? And I think these are the key questions, is that an all-in-one software which says, oh, I have AI here, I have AI there, most likely will not stay ahead of the curve in all of these different categories for the next 12, 24, 36 months. That's why for us, we really recommend operators to focus more on a best of breed tech stack with a very open infrastructure, enabling you as an operator to be able to choose a tech stack which fits to your needs today, but be able to, without having to, do open heart surgery, change all of your core systems again, be able to always incrementally improve and change. And we've had that story already with one of our partners on operators who's told us, hey, we chose 1.5 years ago the best chatbot on the market because they were outside of hospitality, of short-term rental, and just kind of in that AI game. And they were clearly ahead of the game after a long RFP. Now, 18 months later, where, just these LLMs have evolved so fast that it's not anymore that one company which had any kind of barriers to entry or being able to secure that leading position. And now they decided to switch, or they said, oh, actually, we're staying on there at the moment because we don't think it's worth it yet. So long story short is make sure that you stay flexible. And I don't think, especially in an agent world, that it's single companies who will be disrupting itself. It's going to be these large LLMs which are just evolving so rapidly, and then making that accessible for a lot of small agencies or other startups to build on top and bring top-notch solutions to the market.
Tell us about OpenAI's operator platform and how you think it will change the property management software space.
Yeah, I think again it's one of the newest innovations in that space, and I think OpenAI's operator model is an AI agent that autonomously performs tasks for you. So you can create agents, and they can interact with websites like a human. So you don't really necessarily need anymore always APIs or integrations to perform certain tasks. And, this can be filling out forms, booking services, updating certain records. And when we think about that already, it's, where do we see that biggest disruption? I see a huge disruption in the way of how actually the guests will book their travels. You can now build your agents on top of OpenAI and just say, hey, please, set up my trip and make these 5 bookings. And if you're also, Google has just released their A2A approach, so agent to agent set up so that you can easier connect via Google in the whole distribution game. So I think that it will, in a first step, change the way how our guests will like to book and have their own travel concierge, their own, and then it's all about how are your availabilities out there? How do you differentiate yourself? How are your attributes displayed on your website and your booking engines and all of that? Because guests will be able to book in a very different way. And I think this will even more bring a convergence of hotels, short-term rental, which is also an umbrella term for, of course, more like vacation rental, for more like service living, all of these elements. And we see that convergence already happening quite significantly. But I think with this model on top, for the guests, it will rapidly change, as well as you can, from an operational side, very easily now build just kind of your reminders and automate workflows with no technical capability needed on a very easy way. So reducing the amount of tech you need of specialized software, definitely this goes into that direction that you'll be able to use OpenAI or also now more and more competitors on that space to automate workflows.
Yeah, this is the way it's going, isn't it? You've got all these sites now where it's like build a website instantly, build an app instantly. You don't need to know how to code or anything. It's there. It's available to even non-techie people like me. You can create something pretty extraordinary. Okay, then, Florian. So tell us more about Apaleo. What makes it different from other PMS solutions?
Yeah, so Apaleo was built as the open accommodation platform, and we have an approach with our founders having a strong background in property management system, more from the hotel operations, but we built a solution or a platform which is API first. So 100% of our functionalities are first built as APIs, and even our user interface connects to that. And we only build the core functionality of the property management system, and then really believe that a STR operator, co-living, camping, hotel, etc., can then use our ecosystem of apps integrated to Apaleo. So we have a couple hundred apps connected to Apaleo, and can easily, like in some solutions, you can even connect in one clicks, set up your tech stack which responds to your needs. Because Apaleo was built with the mission that we want our customers to be able to offer the unique experiences they want for their guests and their staff. Typical property management solutions are more on an all-in-one, try to cover all of the different touch points. And we always believe that this is not very scalable and definitely difficult to be in different segments with that. So we have a different ecosystem of apps focusing more on short-term rental than maybe on the traditional hotel operations. However, they use our core system to be able to automate a lot, to do your check-ins, and all of that. Apaleo was built as a multi-property platform from day one, and self-service. So we have customers like Numa, which started with us with 30 apart hotel units and are now operating around 4,500, 5,000 units in around 5 years, in, I think, 10 plus countries, a couple more. They took over, for example, the Native Places portfolio and were able to migrate the property in 2 days from their old system to Apaleo. We grew in the last few years in over 30 countries, and really believe that also now with the acceleration of innovation, we are exactly positioned in the way that we support operators. Of course, when you have a couple of units and you say, I just want to have something all in one, it works, it solves my pain points, definitely. But especially for the operators focusing on growing, on scaling from a couple hundred units onwards, who look at specific operational efficiency, centralization of tasks and departments. This is where the Apaleo platform, we believe we're uniquely positioned and bring the most value for our customers in the short-term rental space.
And if people want to find out more information, where should they go?
If they want to find out more information, go to apaleo.com, follow me or connect with me on LinkedIn, Florian Montag, always happy to chat. And we also hop around on a lot of the different conferences and events. So you can often also find us at one of your closest tech innovation events in the space.
Excellent. We'll put all those details in the show notes. Apart from AI then, Florian, what are some STR trends that you're seeing in 2025 that hosts and property managers should be aware of?
I think the one big topic is, of course, Airbnb's evolution into services. I think this is something in the space everybody has been talking about and looking at, okay, what does that mean? This kind of hotelization of the space. But I think that is exactly just underlining of what is one of the key trends in these asset classes, is that convergence. that infinite hospitality? How much do we have traditional vacation rental, traditional service living, traditional hotels? How often do we actually have a combination of that? That, you might have more service living. You want to combine this with, in certain down periods, being able to also sell short stay, or to be able to support your short stay with some stability, with some long stay. You have some vacation rental with some apart hotel properties. So I think we're in an opportunistic world. The guests are putting less and less boundaries between these different concepts. And I think we see that also from an investor perspective, and we see that kind of infinite hospitality. And I think that is, for me, one of the key trends, not 100% new in 2025, but we just see that this is continuing to go, and it's here to stay, and we'll have even more blurry lines in the next few years.
Makes a lot of sense. Okay then, Florian, we've got a few questions to finish. So what's your favourite brand in the STR industry, apart from Apaleo, of course?
My favorite brand in the STR industry, definitely, I would actually say Cuckoo and Co, which I love. They just rebranded to Non Apart Hotel. It's in Switzerland, having STR part in Verbier, now opening apart hotels, and started from a real cool young team out of Lausanne and Genève, where I also studied hospitality management back in the day. And I find it really innovative how a young group of entrepreneurs built up such an interesting business over the years, and also really looking at leveraging technology to support their guest experience, and to also support the scaling of their business. So that is definitely one of my favorite concepts at the moment. But it's a fast-paced industry, right? So there's always something new coming up.
An individual in the STR space you'd like to give a shout out to, and why?
I think definitely from our side, Jessica Gillingham has been a person who we work and partner with for a couple of years now. I think she's done a tremendous job of bringing the STR space more into the center stage of different shows and just in general in the media. So I think definitely Jessica is a top expert in that space, with whom we really like to collaborate. And she's also just a great person on top of that.
Yes, big friend of the show. She was one of the first guests we ever had on our podcast. Finally then, Florian, your number one piece of advice for STR managers who want to utilize AI?
Start testing it, try it out, learn it. And then second, if you want to really say, okay, how can I create impact with that? Make sure that your core platforms and systems are open for you to actually not just play with it in a certain chat phase, but actually that it goes into your operations and has actual impact on your business there. So try it out, make sure that your tech is ready, and then with the learnings, the right tech, start implementing it and reap the benefits.
Just start, people. Give it a try. Florian, it's been a real pleasure. Thanks for joining us on the Host Planet podcast.
James, thanks so much for having me.
Great to chat to Florian Montag there from Apaleo about all things AI. As Florian said, if you're not using it, just give it a try. And if you're looking for more free education, head to hostplanet.club, the fastest growing multimedia platform in the short-term rental industry. We're proud to help hosts and property managers supercharge their businesses by sharing a wealth of free content. Head online to sign up for our newsletter, download our suite of ebooks, and listen to our podcast series. Until next time, happy hosting.